Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Grim and Guilty. In the early 2000s, three young women disappeared in Cleveland, Ohio. Each case was treated separately at first. Families searched, police investigated, and years passed with no answers. But in May of 2013, something unexpected happened. Her name was Amanda Berry. What she revealed shocked the entire country. Inside that house, three women had been held captive for nearly a decade, and the man responsible was their own neighbor. This is the story of Ariel Castro and the three women who survived years inside what later would be called the Cleveland House of Horrors. The first disappearance happened in April of 2002. Michelle Knight was 21 years old when she vanished while walking to a court hearing about a custody case involving her young son. When she didn't show up for court, a warrant was issued for her arrest. Because of that misunderstanding, her disappearance didn't receive the same level of attention as other missing person cases. Years later, investigators would realize that Michelle Knight had actually been the first victim. About a year later, another young woman disappeared. Amanda Berry was just 16 years old when she went missing on April 21st, 2003. She had been working at a Burger King restaurant in Cleveland. After finishing her shift, Amanda called her sister to say that she had found a ride home, but she never arrived. Her family searched desperately for answers. The case received national attention, especially when Amanda appeared on an episode of a television show, America's Most Wanted. Despite the publicity, there were no confirmed leads. A year later, another teenager disappeared from the same neighborhood. In April of 2004, a 14-year-old, Gina de Jesus, was walking home from school when she vanished. Her disappearance shook the community. Now, three young women were missing from the same area. Families held vigils, passed out flyers, and worked with investigators for years. But the truth was much closer than anyone realized. Just a few miles from where the women disappeared stood a modest house on Seymour Avenue. The home belonged to Ariel Castro. Castro was a former school bus driver in the Cleveland area. Neighbors described him as friendly and outgoing. He played music, rode motorcycles, and often hosted barbecues. People who lived nearby said nothing about the house that seemed unusual, but inside, Castro had created a prison. Investigators later discovered that the women were kept in separate rooms, chained or restrained for long periods of time. Windows were covered, doors were secured, and the victims had almost no contact with the outside world. During their captivity, the women endured repeated physical and psychological abuse. Castro controlled nearly every aspect of their lives. They were often locked in rooms for long stretches of time. Food was sometimes restricted. Punishments were severe. At times, the victims were chained to walls or beds. Despite the horrific conditions, the three women formed a bond that helped them survive. Amanda Berry eventually gave birth to a daughter while being held captive inside the house. The child, later named Jocelyn, was raised inside the home for several years. Investigators later said the women helped care for the child together. That shared responsibility became another reason they kept fighting to survive. Everything changed, though, on May 6 of 2013. Ariel Castro had left the house for a short time. Amanda Berry noticed that the front door was not fully secured. For years, every door had been locked or barricaded. But this time, there was a small opening. Amanda pushed against the door and managed to create a gap large enough to reach outside. She began yelling for help. A neighbor named Charles Ramsey heard the noise, and when he approached the house, Amanda told him she had been kidnapped and held there for years. Ramsey kicked in part of the door so she could crawl through. Once outside, Amanda immediately ran to a neighbor's phone and called 911. Her message to the dispatcher was urgent and emotional. She told them her name and said that she had been missing for 10 years. Police arrived quickly at the house on Seymour Avenue. Inside, they found Michelle Knight and Gina de Jesus still in captivity. All three women were taken to the hospital for medical evaluation. For their families, the moment was almost impossible to believe. For years, they had feared the worst. Now, suddenly, their daughters were alive. The story spread quickly across the country. Investigators began searching the home, uncovering the full extent of what happened inside. Ariel Castro was arrested shortly after the rescue. During the investigation, authorities documented years of abuse and confinement inside the home. The house itself became a critical crime scene. Chains, restraints, and other evidence confirmed the victims' accounts. Prosecutors built a case that included hundreds of criminal charges. The charges reflected not only the kidnappings but also the years of abuse the victims had endured. The case shocked the public and raised questions about how the crimes had remained hidden for so long. Many neighbors later said they had occasionally noticed unusual things but never suspected anything this severe. In 2013, Ariel Castro accepted a plea deal. In court, he pled guilty. In court, he pleaded. In court, he pleaded guilty to hundreds of charges, including kidnapping and murder related to forced miscarriages suffered by one of the victims. The plea agreement ensured he would spend the rest of his life in prison. Castro was sentenced to life imprisonment plus 1,000 years. The judge made it clear that Castro would never leave prison alive. Just 1 month after receiving his sentence, however, Ariel Castro was found dead in his prison cell. His death was ruled a suicide. After the case concluded, the city of Cleveland decided to demolish the home on Seymour Avenue. The demolition was carried out in August of 2013. One of the survivors, Michelle Knight, was given the opportunity to begin the process by throwing the first ceremonial brick. City officials said that the demolition was intended to remove a painful symbol from the neighborhood. Today, the lot where the house once stood remains empty. After the rescue, the three women began rebuilding their lives. Amanda Berry worked with local media and became an advocate for missing children. Gina de Jesus focused on supporting organizations that helped families dealing with abductions. Michelle Knight, who later changed her name to Lily Rose Lee, has spoken publicly about survival and recovery. For nearly a decade, three women were hidden inside a house in a Cleveland neighborhood. Friends, families, and investigators searched for them, never realizing how close they really were. The escape in 2013 ended years of captivity and exposed one of the most disturbing kidnapping cases in modern American history.